Hi, welcome back. We're continuing to work on our duck plush today. Last time I left you, we were just getting it stuffed for this previous draft. And so let's just get started. Let's get moving with this. I think she is turning out super cute. I just think she's funny. Okay, plush make me laugh. Okay, they make me giggle. We added the wings, which I think they look really good. I think one thing I'm going to do for them is add maybe another 1/4 of an inch in length. I think going over this curve of the body, they're just not quite as long as I was hoping. So I think I'll just add a little bit more length, not too much. We added the tail, which she turned out great. I think that ended up looking quite nice. I didn't really draw it so it was symmetrical. So I think I'm going to fix that, make it more symmetrical, and then we'll have that all done. I think it turned out really cute though, the design style of it. We got our legs done. I have one going forward and one going back. That was not really intentional, but I realized that it was because I sewed 2 right feet together, maybe 2 left feet. I don't know which one. They were going the same direction. So one ended up going forward, one ended up going backwards. So the things that we need to fix for the legs. The legs are going out, if you can tell. So since they're sitting on a curve and we had a straight line at the top of this, it's making it so it's going out the direction of the curve. So we need to curve the top of that line so it goes inwards a little bit, which I think will look a lot nicer. Then they will hang straight down instead of going out like that. The other thing was, we talked yesterday about what foot we wanted to use, and I think that they were both fairly easy to sew. There wasn't one that was easier than the other, really. It just comes down to what we think looks nice. And if you can tell, this foot right here has a little bit of it coming out the back, and this one is almost straight down. And the difference is in the pattern shape. So this is the foot that we designed so it went straight out, and this is the foot that had the curve around it. So I think that I like this foot better personally, so I'm going to keep this foot in the pattern. I just think it's cuter. I think I like it better. Otherwise, design-wise, both pattern pieces were good. So we can maybe save that design for later and maybe use it on a different foot, but I personally just prefer this one, so that's the one that I'm going to keep. With the foot, all we have to do is fix the top angle of that and make sure it's correct. And then we still have the beak to deal with. It's just not doing well. We haven't measured yet the actual sew line on the beak to the face. So I have a few ideas here. One, I'm going to measure it and make sure that it is the right length, because I don't think it is. We've got some weird tucking here. I think if we made the hole the right size, that would not happen as much. The other thing that I think I would like to do, that this curve is coming out quite far. I think that if we turn this piece into one piece and then just have a dart up here, we're going to lose some of this extra dimension, which will fix that a little bit too. So I think we should do that for the front piece. We'll work on the length to make sure that it's all the same. So we've got to fix that on the face. Other than that, I think it's turning out quite cute. I'm really thinking that this pattern turned out good. And really, we haven't even had that many alterations to it. This has all been fairly normal. And to time it, I think we've been working on it for 3 days. And each session probably was a 3 or 4 hour session. It would have been a little bit quicker for me too if I wasn't also filming and teaching you guys at the same time. That will kind of help guide you in knowing how long designing something like this takes. But in all reality, this is a fairly simple pattern that we started with. It's not the simplest. It could be more complex, but as far as the design of it, it's a pretty standard plush, I think. So I think this is a good representation of what a pattern like this takes to design. And I hope you guys have really enjoyed this process. If you guys have anything that you would like to comment on in this comment section below, I would love to hear it. I'm pretty new at filming, at teaching, so sometimes getting the concept across to you guys has not been easy for me, but I'm learning, I'm growing. So if there's anything that you would have liked to have seen more of, if you thought I went too long on something, please tell me in the comments so I can always do better for you guys. This is where we're at. This is what we're gonna do today. And then I think that by the end of this, I think we can probably sew a finished plush of this guy. So let's get started. Okay, to start with the legs, what I'm going to do to get a kind of indication of what shape we need at the top. I kind of have an idea of what it needs to be, but I want to get a Sharpie marker. I'm going to push it where I want it to be, and then I'm going to draw right on there, and then we're going to cut it and see if that kind of helps give us an indication of what the shape of that top piece needs to be in order for it to sit straight. Let's draw our Sharpie marker. So I want to kind of hold it here, right where I want it, and then I'm going to draw up over like this and then down. So there is our new line. It just needs to come down a little bit right here and back up again, which will pull the leg. So instead of sitting out like this, it'll go in and sit like that. So let's get our pattern piece. So just like that. And I think what I'll do for this little guy, this piece right here, is I'm going to make it just one long piece. There's no reason to say to put this on a fold, so I will fix that. Now on to the face. So here we go. Here's one beak, which we need to measure the length. So this is at 2.5 inches. So 2 is 3/4. So this is half of our beak. Let's see where we're at with this. This needs to be half this length, which is 2 5/8 on this one side. And let's measure 3/8. 1 3/8. This is our 1 3/8 mark. And then we need another 1 1/4 up here. So actually, that's impressive. 1 1/4, this is already actually the same length. But what I would like to do is just fix the shape so that it sits better, because I really just don't like it. If we go wider out here, and then we can remove some of it from up here. So let's just start over. Because really this shape right here that I had planned for making it look like that on the beak just did not work. So let's just try to make it look better than it is. Plus, I talked about adding 2 pieces together, which will make us lose a little bit in the center of actual fabric, which I don't think is going to really be a bad thing here. I just am not sure how much we actually want to remove. Like, how big do we want this dart? Okay, so this is the center line now. So we need to base whatever face piece we draw to start here. Now, the question is, did we like where it was started, or do we want to move him up a little bit? If we moved it up like even 1/4 of an inch, I think that would help. Let's start it right here. And then we need to do 2 5/8. So here's 1, 2 5/8 with our current beak measurement. 5/8 is right there. There's our measurement. Okay, so let's try this and see what happens. Here we're at. This is where we're at. It did the same thing again. This is embarrassing that I'm struggling with this so much, but I want to show you guys the whole process, and sometimes this is what it is. I just am not sure what is going on. So I'm going to show you another method. So I got my little clay out. I made a ball and kind of a beak. I'm not good at clay. This method is good. I've seen people use it, and I'll show you how to do it. I'm not great at modeling clay, so it's not my first method to choose to make something, but this is for simple things like this. I think it's going to help us. So I've got my beak. Here's my clay that I have. I don't even know what this clay is called. You can't bake it. It always stays soft like this, and it's moldable. I just got it at Hobby Lobby years ago. I don't know. But here's our basic shape, right? So what we're worried about is this edge right here and down this edge, which, looking at this, in order for the beak to go straight out like I was hoping, it looks like my problem is probably that this needs to be longer. My bottom piece is actually the problem, not the top piece. And I keep adjusting my top piece. So what I do is I get a little piece of tissue paper. The reason I like this is because it's easy to puncture and it kind of sticks nicely to the clay. So get your knife. This is all I have that's sharp enough to puncture through it. Okay, so we cut through here. To shape it as you go. So there's that piece and that edge, which it is a curve like this. Okay, so let's fix that one. And I wonder if the bottom one is going to be the opposite. So let's do that. Okay, and look at that. I can't believe it. We just had it backwards. So our top needs to be more curved in, and we need to push our bottom out. Let's try this again. Okay, so here are our current pieces, which we had this on the bottom and this on the top. But I guess we should try flipping it. But I want this dart on the bottom piece because we don't want that extra seam on the top. It doesn't even make sense with the current way we have the pattern. Here's our bottom piece. We don't want this dart at the top because we're using this dart to help close it and to make it easier for us to pin. So we need to essentially close this dart and add it to this one. So let's draw them again and start over so we don't ruin our current pattern in case we're wrong again. And there's that one. Okay, I'm going to cut this dart out. And I'm going to put these back together. And we're going to cut this one and open it for the dart. All right, here's this dart. We're going to cut that out. I've added this. Let's try this again. Okay. Oh my heck. I finally did it. That was so hard. I don't know why that was so hard for me. I struggled with that little beak, but we finally did it. Look how cute that turned out. Okay. Okay. I'm really happy with that. Look how cute that turned out. I'm really liking how that's turning out. I think that we're ready. I think that that was our last thing. Let's go over it again. Oh, we need to lengthen the, which is not hard. We just need to get our wing. I think I'm gonna just add a little bit more depth right here and I'm gonna lengthen it. So let's do that. So we're just gonna cut it right across. I'm gonna add about 1/4 of an inch and I'm gonna add a little bit more width over here. So I want to keep this dimension up, this length up here the same. I don't want to change that because that's where it enters into the bird. But I think I just would like a little bit more girth like that. So let's cut that out. We need to fix the tail. I just want it more symmetrical. I think I like this side better, so I'm just going to fold it. And we need to do the leg. There's the other leg. What else do we need to do? I think that's it. Okay, let's cut it all out again. I think we're ready to sew it in Minky. That's exciting. There's way more stretch to Minky than there is cotton. So we have to be aware of that. The reason I like to do my patterning in cotton is because I don't like the stretch to affect my pattern, which means that anybody can sew out of whatever fabric that they want. They just have to be aware of what the stretch is going to do to their finished plush. So just be aware of that, and when you're making your patterns, that stretch does have an effect on the finished outcome of your plush. Let's go over how we're going to actually put these pieces together. We've talked about each piece, but I've never actually said how each piece goes together, the order of sewing. So let's go over that, and so that when you guys make this pattern and are practicing, you can sew it too. Okay, let's get all of our pieces out. Decided on this gusset. I never ended up using the other gusset because I just liked that one, so we didn't end up using the other one. So the first thing that we need to do is sew our beak together. Let's sew our beak together. We got to go around here, over, and up like this. That's the first step. Then we'll pin it onto here, mark your center lines here and here so that you know where to sew it. So we start, this connects here, and we go up and around and back down all the way to here. Then we'll be able to sew closed this dart, and we'll be able to sew closed this dart. We'll have 2 of these, and we'll sew this portion closed just until here. Okay? Once that's sewn, then we'll be able to put this together and then all the way across like that. And then we'll have our head sewn. So the next part that we're going to sew, we need to sew our neck pieces together, our body and our neck together. And we'll do that twice, one on each side. So we'll sew those together. We also need 4 wings, and we'll sew 2 sets of wings together from here all the way around. We got to do that twice. So 2 wings. Once you turn that right side out, then we can sandwich those in here like this and sew that onto each side of the body. So we'll get that done, and then we'll move on to the next part. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is sew the feet together, all right? We need 2 of these. So you're gonna sew the foot on around this edge, clip your seam allowance so you can ease it in there. Once you've got your foot on, then you can sew it onto your gusset, okay? Then you'll sew this edge and go all the way around like that. Once you've done it twice, 1 for each foot, put these right sides together, and you're going to sew this edge, and it'll go into the leg because they're all sewn together, remember? Go down the leg and close up all the way down to the foot. Once the foot is all closed, you can add this to the bottom of it and sew all the way around the bottom of the foot. And you're going to do that twice. Once for this leg, once for this leg, okay? Make sure that the feet are facing the right direction. This is the front of the body. This is the back of the body. So you want the foot going this way. So make sure you have it going the right direction. Okay, so let's get that done, and then we'll be able to sew it all together. Don't forget our tail. We need to sew this right sides together. You need 2 of these, 2 of this pattern piece, and we're going to leave this side open. Once it's sewn together all the way across, we're going to flip it right side out. Okay, here is the fabric I'm choosing for this. Now, traditionally, runner ducks are not mallard colored. They're either white with a little brown, fully white, or black, but there is a small variety that looks like a mallard duck. And I just thought that those colors would be so much more fun than a pure white duck in this example, especially for you guys to be able to see each part. So here's what I'm thinking. We'll do the side body out of the dark brown and the outside of the wings, I think. I'm still thinking about that. We'll do the gusset down the chest and the inside of the wings this color of brown, which I think will be super cute. We'll do the beak and the feet out of this kind of orangey yellow color, and the head will make this green color. So that will be a fun mallard color. I do have this light brown color. I think I'm going to make it the stripe across the neck. I think it'll be really cute. That's traditionally white, but I thought this light brown would be really cute for that. So I'm going to do that, which means I'm going to have to alter my pattern just a little bit. I'm going to have to cut a little bit of a strip off of the neck piece just to add this color in, but it's not going to actually affect the pattern at all. So that's where we're going with our colors. We'll talk about how to cut it next, and then we'll start sewing. Okay, I almost forgot. I also wanted to add a little bit of blue at the tip of her wings because mallards have a little bit of blue in their wings as well. And I think that will be super cute to add a little extra color in there. So I'm going to add blue to her wings. Right.